Chapter 7. War. A Good Excuse. War broke out between Iraq and Iran and expanded and grew rapidly. Saddam's invasion was a good excuse for the Ayatollah Khomeini to fulfill his agenda concerning Iraq. We did not know that he would also use the war as an excuse to destroy those who were not in favor of his country's policy. He used the excuse that the country was at war, and any criticism to him would weaken the voice of the true Islam, Shia, and strengthen the voice of the Sunni enemy, Saddam, Israel, and the West. Interestingly, Iranian and Iraqi leaders accused each other of being the Zionist agents in order to justify their invasions and stir their people psychologically against each other until the final goal was obtained, which was the occupation and destruction of Iran for Saddam and the occupation and destruction of Iraq for the Ayatollah Khomeini. The war became a golden opportunity for the mullahs to fight Saddam. It seemed like the prey coming to the hunter. Even when Saddam requested a ceasefire and peace after some months, the Ayatollah Khomeini rejected his request. He said that he could not have peace with the enemy of Islam. Peace with an enemy is like drinking poison, he said. He twisted words in order to avoid peace and show himself as a righteous hero. After 8 years of bloodshed and the death of over 1 million from both Iran and Iraq, the Ayatollah agreed to a peace treaty with Saddam. This time, also, he tried to show himself as a hero again, but in a different way. He likened his peace with Saddam to drinking poison and said that he had no choice but to drink that poison and avoid bloodshed. Some of his followers cried out, praising his humility and harming himself by drinking that so-called poison. They were too blinded to remember his twisted comments when he said at the beginning of the war that he could not drink the poison of a peace treaty with Saddam. We knew that Saddam was a bully. He had once breached Iran's border in the time of the Shah, but the Shah taught him a lesson. This time also, it was he who invaded Iran first, and for this reason, many Iranians, including a great number of those in opposition, believed that Saddam had to be punished. The Iranian armed forces had to fight his army and force them back. However, Khomeini cleverly turned the war into a religious war, the war of righteous ones against infidels. He tried whatever he could and used every form of religious art in order to move people religiously to receive their support for the occupation of Iraq. Many committed Muslims supported his plans and sent their sons, even the younger ones, to war. Almost all of these younger boys lacked army skills. For this reason, many of them died. They were used mainly to show how big the army of Islam was. Before sending them to the war zones, the mullahs asked them to wear head bandanas of martyrdom and declare in street meetings that they were the real followers of Muhammad, ready to fight and die for Islam. During the war, building jihad forced to curtail many activities to support the war effort. The president, Bani Sadr, was in Iran and was the second chief commander in charge of the war after Khomeini, according to the law. I served on the front lines not as a fighter, but in logistics, and avoided death on numerous occasions. My younger brother and my brother-in-law were both injured as fighting soldiers. The war resulted in more than 1 million dead, disabled, and injured Iranians.